Hi, everyone. It's Ayla, and I have here for you a 20-minute practice focused on hips and specifically opening the hips, increasing some flexibility, creating space, releasing tension. I am pet sitting, and I have Tilly here with me, who you'll see in just a moment. So let's get started on our mats in wide-legged child's pose. All right, so we're taking the knees wider than hips here, which could possibly be off the edges of the mat, at least to the edges of the mat. And hips to the heels as you slide your hands forward. Release the weight of your head to the earth. Let's take a deep breath in through the nose. Exhale and sigh it out. One more deep breath in and release. Continue a few more rounds of breath. Perhaps that's sighing it out, or maybe you start your ujjayi through the nose, in and out. Elongate the breath. So inhale slow and deeply. Exhale slow and completely. Take a few breaths here to get centered on your mat, in your body. With each exhale, let the hips get a little heavier down toward the heels, down toward the earth. Allow the heart space to melt toward the ground. Let's take one more breath here. On your next inhale, reach your arms forward, reach to the fingertips. Exhale, walk your hands over to the left side of your mat. Keep head low to the ground and bring your hips to the right heel. Side body stretch. Maybe you stack right hand over the left here. Get a little deeper side body stretch. Hands are to the left, hips are to the right. Let's stay for a big breath in and out. Inhale to recenter your hands. Grow long in the middle. Exhale, walk your hands over to the right side of your mat. Draw your hips toward the left heel, taking side body stretch the other direction. Perhaps stacking left hand over the right. See what that feels like in your body. One more breath here. Inhale, come back to center. Pause for a breath if you'd like to set an intention. Maybe that is just connecting with your hip center, your sacral center. Maybe that's creating some space, letting go, moving through blocks, something else. Set an intention here. Wonderful. Begin here to bend at the elbows. Start to shift your shoulders forward. We're going to keep the knees nice and wide. The hips slide forward as well. Shoulders can go past the elbows here. Exhale, send the hips back toward the heels. Release the weight of your head toward the ground. Again, inhale, shift forward, spread your fingers nice and wide, heart space through the tops of the arms. Exhale, hips back toward the heels. Let's take that a couple more times. Inhaling forward, lower the pelvis down toward the ground. Exhale, hips back. One more time. Inhale forward. And exhale back. Lovely. Bring hands underneath the shoulders. Slide your hands back. Prop up. Draw your knees toward each other. Hips distance. One at a time here. Let the hips reset. Nice and gentle. All 10 fingers spread wide here for your tabletop. As you inhale, lower your belly, lift your heart, lift your hips, cow pose. Exhale, press the earth away, round your spine, tuck chin to chest, cat pose. Again, inhale, lower your belly, hammock your back, reach the crown of your head up. Exhale, press the earth away, tuck your tailbone, spread the shoulder blades wide. Continue a few more rounds of cat-cow poses here. And a reminder, as always, as we move together, feel free to change anything, skip anything that isn't serving you, meet any challenges with the breath, and make sure you get what you need here on the mat. This is your time. I'll take one more full round here. Finish with your exhale. Press the earth away. And inhale back to neutral tabletop. Let's walk the hands slightly forward of the shoulders. Tuck your toes. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, send hips high to the sky, downward facing dog. Feel free to pedal it out here. Bend one knee and then the other. Roll through the bottom of one foot and then the other. Spread fingers nice and wide. Melt heart toward the thighs. Let's bend the knees deeply, and start to send the hip sit bones, right? The sit bones up toward the sky. Sit bones and tailbone toward the sky. Keep those tailbone bones pointing up and start to lower your heels, lengthen through the legs. Stay for a big breath in and out. Inhale, bend your knees deeply, gaze between your thumbs. Exhale, walk, step, or jump to the top of your mat for a fold. Release the weight of your head. Let it go. Rock your head, yes, forward and back. And then no, side to side. Inhale, bring hands to shins or thighs, crown of your head forward, half lift. Exhale and fold. Let's do that again. Inhale, come up to halfway lift. Shift the weight to the balls of your feet. So light in the heels. Exhale and fold. One more time. This time, press your hands into your thighs. Feel that stretch of the back legs. Exhale and release. Bend your knees, plant your hands, step your left foot far back. Lower your left knee down to the ground. And here we want to find a release of the hip flexor. So having the hip right over the knee, you might not get that release. So we're going to shift the hip slightly forward or shift the knee slightly back so that we're getting some release of that hip flexor. Let's bring hands to interlace at the top of the right knee. And you can always keep the left toes tucked or you can untuck your toes. I'm going to tuck mine today because I have Tilly behind me. Start to press into your hands. And then sink the hips down toward the ground. We're looking for that big release of the hip flexor. Shoulders are right over the hips here. Stay for a big breath in. And out. This might feel really good if you've done a lot of sitting or walking, running. One more breath. Release hands to the earth. Let's bring both hands to the inside edge of the right foot. Heel toe your right foot out to the right. I'm going to turn around here. I'm talking about having the right knee wider than your hip, right? So it's not straightforward like it was for low lunge. We're setting up for lizard pose. And if blocks are in your practice today, you can always bring your hands to blocks. You can also lower your elbows down to blocks or the earth. This is a big compression in this right hip flexor. So you're welcome to stay. I know I'm not mirroring you here. I have my right leg forward, not my left. Draw the hips down, lift up through the heart. And then if you're lowered onto your elbows, take one more breath there and meet us back with palms of the hands on the ground or your blocks. Inhale where you are. Exhale where you are. On your next breath in, start to shift your hips back. Draw the right toes up toward the sky. We're looking to elongate this right leg, but it doesn't have to be straight. As you exhale, bend forward. So fold the heart space down toward the ground. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, sink the hips, bend the front knee. So we'll be moving with the breath here. Inhale to shift back, lengthen through the right leg. It may be straight, it may not be. Exhale and bow forward. Get that release. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, draw the hips down, bend the front knee. 2 more times. Inhale, back. Exhale, fold. Again, blocks are welcome here or other props to bring your hands a little higher. Inhale, rise. Exhale, lizard pose. Last round, we're pulsing between half splits and lizard pose. Really nice. Meeting back with the front knee bent. Stay here for a deep breath in. Exhale, shift the right leg all the way back. So I'm going to turn to face you here. We'll shift the right leg all the way back, then bring right foot out to the side. Seal your right heel to the ground so that your hip and heel are in one line. Toes are facing forward. Inhale here. Exhale, sit hips back toward the left heel. You'll pause at your edge, your point of resistance. We're looking for a stretch in the inner right thigh into the groin. And we'll move with the breath. Inhale to shift forward. Exhale to send the hips back again. You pause at that edge. Inhale forward. Exhale back. One more round with the breath. And as you sink the hips back, we'll stay. Find your edge, stay there. And if you need to ease off, come forward. And the option here to lift the right toes off of the ground, coming up to the right heel. Big breath in. Exhale, release the weight of your head toward the ground. Stay for one more breath. And on your next inhale, shift forward. Send the right leg all the way back and right knee down to the ground. Wonderful. Let's make our way to downward facing dog. Tuck the toes, send your hips high, heels toward the earth. Notice here, right and left side, right? I have a huge difference from right leg to left leg. Sorry, Tilly. Feel free to walk the dog here. Roll through the bottoms of your feet. Notice the space being created in your legs and hips. On your inhale, bend knees deeply, gaze forward. Exhale, walk, stepper, jump to the top of your mat for a fold. Inhale, halfway lift, lengthen. Exhale and fold. Plant your hands and step your right foot far back. Lower the right knee down to the ground. Again, you can keep the right toes tucked or untuck the toes. Left foot is on the earth from heel to toe. Let's climb up to the top of the thigh, interlace the fingers. Press into the hands, press, 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 and then draw the hips down toward the earth. We're now releasing that right hip flexor, which just had a lot of compression in our last series on the first side. And stay for a couple of breaths. The heart is lifted, shoulders are over the hips. Inhale here. Exhale, lower both hands to the earth, to the inner edge of the left foot, and we'll heel toe the left foot out to the left. Setting up for lizard pose, bring the hands under your shoulders. Toes will be pointing to what would be 10 o'clock on a clock. Right knee is much wider than the hip. Stay here. You can stay here. You can lower onto your elbows if that's in your practice. You can also use blocks under your elbows or hands, right? Remember, blocks are just an extension of the earth, some extra support. If you're lowered onto your elbows, use your next inhale to rise back up to your hands. Big breath in here, shoulders down the back. And out. Inhale, start to shift the hips back. We'll raise the left toes up toward the sky. Exhale and bow forward. Again, we're keeping a bend of the knee if you're feeling a pull in the back of the knee. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, bend the front knee, sink the hips, lizard pose. Inhale, shift back. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, lizard pose. Let's take it 2 more times. And the reason we're keeping a bend of the knee if we feel a pull in the back of the knee is because there's no muscles there that we're trying to stretch. We're trying to stretch, or we're aiming to stretch the hamstrings and the calf, but not the back of the knee. And so if we take a bend of the knee as we lengthen the leg, we're protecting those ligaments and tendons from overextending. All right, so we'll meet with the front knee bent, our lizard pose. Meeting here, shift back just enough to slide that left leg all the way back. Left toes, right knee, and we'll sweep the left foot out to the side. Do your best to line up your heel with your hip. Inhale here. Exhale, send your hips back toward the right heel. You're pausing at your first edge, your point of resistance. Inhale, shift forward. Exhale, hips go back. Again, inhale forward. Exhale back. This time we're going to stay. You can keep the left toes on the ground, or maybe you like to roll to the heel of your left foot, pointing your toes toward the sky. We're looking for that release of the inner left thigh and the groin. One more breath here. Inhale to shift forward. Exhale, slide the left foot back. and left knee down to the ground. Really nice. Inhale here. Exhale, sit hips to heels. Release the weight of your head. Take a moment to reconnect with your intention. Inhale, shift forward. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, bend knees deeply, gaze between your thumbs. Exhale, walk stepper, jump to the top of your mat. Let's walk our hands let's walk our feet much wider than the hands here. So bring your feet to the corners of your mat or the outer edges of the mat. Hands are between the feet. We start to bend the knees deeply, come into Malasana Yogi Squat. Drop the hips toward the ground. And here, if you're working with props today, place a prop underneath the sit bones if you're feeling like this is just too difficult. You can also lean your back against a wall, right? So you can either waddle over to a wall or stand up and move to a wall. And once you arrive, bring your hands to your heart. We're pressing the arm knees, the elbows into the inner knees. Lift up through the heart. And so if wrists are feeling a little stretched out in this way already, let's flip the hands so fingers are pointing down, backs of the hands pressed together. Give some release to the wrists here. They've done a lot of work today so far. We store a lot of history and stuck emotion in the hips. The pelvis, the pelvic basket being just that, a basket collecting stagnant energy, blocked emotion. And so today in our practice, beyond the physical release, we're also letting go, creating space, moving through blocks, finding some flow here. One more breath. Release your hands to the earth. Send your hips up toward the sky. Step back to one more downward facing dog. Release the backs of the knees. Press the heels down toward the ground. Big breath in and out. Inhale, raise your heels high off the ground. Exhale, lower your knees to the earth with control. Let's bring that right knee forward to the space behind the right wrist. Lie your knee down. Your shin goes across the mat to the left side. So right foot is to the left side of the mat. We walk the left leg back, back, back. Inhale to lift up through the heart. Exhale, heart leads the way forward, 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 and into a sleeping pigeon or swan pose. You'd rest your forehead on the earth. I rest my forehead on Tilly. And now we're targeting the piriformis, the outer right hip. Did a lot of external rotation. This is an internal rotation of the hips. Breathe here. I recommend you do this stretch or a version of this stretch, or you can also do it on your back daily if possible, but at least a few times a week. This can help to relieve sciatic pain. And if we stay for a few extra breaths, we get really nice and deep into that muscle. Let's take a few more rounds of breath using a visualization. So you'll visualize the breath or energy traveling as you inhale from the third eye space down the back. As you exhale, right hip through the right toes, right? So the inhale is energy flowing third eye space down the back. Exhale is right hip out to the right toes. So continue that cycle of breath, bringing in fresh energy to flush out the right hip, energetically releasing any blocks, helping stagnation move, creating space for flow, creativity, pleasure. 2 more breaths. Wonderful. On your next inhale, you'll walk your hands back to rise up for another royal pigeon. Stay for a big breath in. Exhale, hands on the earth. We tuck the back toes and shift the back knee forward a couple of times so that you can bring the right knee back to meet the left. You're here at a tabletop. Feel free to wiggle it out. If you need a cobra, if you need a downward facing dog, take a couple of breaths to get what you need here. And we'll meet back in tabletop. As you inhale, glide the left knee forward. You can use your hand to meet the left wrist. Shin goes across the mat, so foot is in front of the right hip. Bless you. Walk your right foot back, 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 back. Come up to spider fingers for your inhale, rise up, royal pigeon. Exhale, heart leads the way into your sleeping pigeon, right to the other side. Resting here. I didn't say this on the first side, but a reminder, you can always use a block or some other support under this front hip, which would be the left hip on this side. Always. You can also use something like a prop or the backs of your hands or the earth for your forehead. So find some support. While we're targeting the hips today in practice, let's not forget about the rest of the body, giving the neck and shoulders some love as you find some support for your head. And let's return to that visualization. If it resonated for you the first time, let's come back to it. We're inhale, bringing in fresh energy, right? That life force, the prana, third eye space down the back. And exhaling, left hip to the toes. So we're breathing in fresh energy, clarifying, healing, loving, nourishing, nurturing, light, whatever you're needing here. You're inhaling, receiving, and the exhale, releasing, letting go of any of that blockage or stagnation stored in the left hip. Once again, creating space for flow, creativity, pleasure, passion. And stay for 2 or 3 more breaths here. Last round of breath. On your next inhale, walk your hands back. Rise up for another royal pigeon. Option to tilt your head back, open through the front of the throat. And as you exhale, tuck the back toes, shift the right knee forward, 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 enough until you can bring the left knee back to meet the right. Come into tabletop. Inhale here. Exhale, let's rinse it out with some hip circles. So draw hips back toward the heels, over to one side, forward, around, and back again. I'm moving around Tilly here, so you'll go to, your fullest extension of the circles here, just rinsing it out. Use the breath here, clear it out. Receiving nourishment, releasing blockage. Then reverse your circle, take it the other way around. Inhaling forward, exhaling back. Last round. All right, you'll finish with hips to heels. Complete that exhale. Inhale, shift forward, come into a cross-legged seat where we'll seal our practice together. Take a moment here, always the option to sit up on a prop. Let's just take a shoulder roll forward and up, and then back and down. Pause and notice how you're feeling in your body. And finding some deep gratitude for the hips, the biggest joint of the body, and all that the hips do for us, right? We can do so much because of our hips. Much gratitude there. Bring hands together, rest thumbs on the third eye space. Think grateful thoughts about yourself and others. Thumbs to lips. Speak kind words to yourself and others. And down to your heart. Hold love in your heart for yourself and others. Thank you so much for joining me in this hip stretchy, gentle, flowy class. So much love and gratitude for you. Namaste. All right. Thank you so much for joining me in this 20-ish minute hip flow. If you have any questions, any feedback, I always love to hear from you. And if you have any requests, please feel free to leave it in the comments here or message me directly. I'm looking for any requests so I can make some more videos for you all. Thank you so much, and next time.